Yeah, let's just get rolling. So right away, as you can see, we have about 40 big blinds, which is a little less than I'd like to go over at this point, like I said, but we'll just see what happens here. So this spot already is pretty awkward. Personally, I would probably just fold, but he's opening into a five big blind stack, which he's got to call a shove for. It doesn't necessarily mean he has to have a hand, but he's usually going to have a little bit better than normal when something like that comes up. So for us right now, we don't want to three bet because there's really no good options for three betting. You don't want to three bet call, obviously. You don't want to three bet fold because it's just a good hand that plays well post flop. And when you three bet a spot like this, you're kind of turning it into a bluff. So calling or folding are really your only two options. I don't mind calling because Queen 9 suited. It's just kind of a fun hand to play anyway, but you are out of position. You've only got 40 big blinds. I would never blame anyone for folding here. It's probably the best option, but I'm not going to blame you for calling or defending here. That's fine. Um, so let's go post flop, which, judging by my notes, it's kind of a tricky flop. So this is it does sort of hit our flatting range. All the Jack Queen type hands, Queen 9, Jack 9, Jack 10s, King 10s, all those types of flatting hands hit our range here. So it's not impossible for us to have something on this board, even though it's paired. So it's not hard to rep something on this board, is all I'm saying. So that's at least going good for us. We also have the 10 of hearts here, which gives us some backdoor options as well. So the question is, what should we be doing? I don't think lead is very good. I don't think it looks strong. Um, it's definitely an option, but I don't think it's the best one. I think check is better. If he gives a free card, then we can just bet pretty much any turn, except for I guess an ace. A king was probably a good bet, just because we don't want to have to check and do anything. If he outplays us, he outplays us, but we need to be betting a king or any heart we can bet. But most of the time he's just going to bet. So we have to start deciding now what the best option is if he bets. So we can think about it in a couple of different ways. Let's just start to think about what a check call may look like if you're him. Um, a check call, it looks like a 10. It could still be an 8. It could be Jack Queen. It could be Jack 9, 7, 9, all hands like that. That's what a call looks like. What does the check raise look like? A check raise looks like more like air and more like a 10. I don't think an 8 really check raises all that often. Um, I don't think we're expected to have like jacks plus, and I don't think we would really even have 9s or 7s or any of those hands. Um, Nor would we check raise those anyway. So, um, yeah. That said, what do we think the best option is? Thinking about it now, talking it out, I think we're best off just check calling, and then stacks are going to work out such that if we get a good turn, like the 5 of hearts or something, we can just check shove turns if he decides to two barrel. We kind of only get him off bluffs, but our hand does well enough, and we again may actually get him to fold occasionally. If he's got something like 7s or whatever, and he just is betting for no reason. Yeah, it's just a way to win the pot that way. So I think check call is actually our best option. If we check raise, we're gonna have to check raise fold. But if we do check raise, he bets something like 700. We make it, 17. And if he calls, the pot's gonna be what, 4,700, and we're gonna have about 6,000. Um, a little bit more than that, 6,700 or so. So we're not really going to be able to shove turns, but if we did, for example, get a good turn, even a jack isn't bad. Jack or a heart, uh, we could just kind of bet commit. That's if he just flats our checkers too. We might actually get shoved on, but then we just fold. I know I'm talking a lot about this hypothetically, but this is kind of what you need to do in spots like this, and this is the only way you should be playing these pots post flop is if you're able to come up with these thoughts. So, just looking at it right now, I think check call is the best option, um, and then planning on check shoving a lot of turns, or if we hit a pair, we can just kind of check call down. A 9 would be kind of awkward, and I don't even know what I would do a lot of times if he kept betting. But let's just kind of feel it out and see what happens. So we check. He bets around 700 and we call. So already looking pretty good. And I don't know if all those thoughts or what led you to do this, but I do think this is actually the best option. So let me just refer to my notes to make sure I didn't have anything else. Yeah, I think I wrote it's actually pretty tough because given your stack size, you can't really check raise and call because it's not good enough, and you're gonna get it in against like Jack Queen and stuff and hate your life. And then check raising and folding is just kind of awkward because you're putting out a lot of your stack, and um, it's hard to say like what he's just gonna call the turn with, call the check raise with, and then fold the turn with. Um, so I don't like our stack for check raising. If you had more, if you had like, his stack 15K, I like a check raise a lot more because now we can, bet the turn and bet river. Um, Depending on what comes on the turn, I like check raising backdoor draws because it gives us a lot of options to keep barreling on turns and still have a chance to get there in the river. So if you're deeper stacked, I like a check raise as well. And if we have less chips, probably just check raise and get it in with the backdoor flush draw, maybe an over, and the straight draw, obviously. But we probably wouldn't be flatting pre-flop if we had less chips anyway, so that's never really going to be an option. So what else do we have? Okay, so turn, what is the queen, right? Spoiler. Which is, it's an interesting card. We beat a lot of hands now, but we also lose to some that we were beating before, namely Jack 9. And now hands like Ace Queen and King Queen are going to continue with the hand, and we're just going to lose pretty much, given that we got ourselves into this spot. But there are also hands like, I don't know, Queen 7, Queen 5 suited, stuff like that he's going to be opening on the button that we actually get value from here. And what else do we have to worry about? I mean, we beat all tens now, which is good, which is really good. I do expect him to check back a 10 most of the time here. He may even check back a hand like Queen Jack, or even like Queen 5 and stuff. So let's see what I wrote for. Okay, I think I did want to talk about leading out here, actually. So if you're him and you have something like Ace Jack here, what's your standard to do on this turn? I mean, you pick up the what's it called? The straight draw. Actually, it's a double gutter with Ace Jack. But you don't really want to bet folded away. So if you bet something like 1500 and the player here raised, you're kind of in a really ugly situation. On a paired board where this does hit a flatting range, and it also, after a check call on the flop, you definitely have something. With Ace Jack against someone who I know has some part of this flop, I'm gonna check back kind of every single time. But say I'm led into here, I'm usually gonna call one with a double gutter and some, maybe some overs. So Ace Jack is just one example. Ace King, you have King Jack, and also all sorts of tens. Jack 10, 10 9, any 10, King 10, Ace 10, any 10 that isn't Queen 10. All those are going to check back. So I actually don't mind leading here. The issue is what do we do to a raise? Some players might actually just raise you with Ace Jack, or like Jack 10 and stuff like that because they don't know what else to do. So I don't know if I would necessarily lead and then fold to a raise, but I mean, this is a tricky spot. This queen is confusing. The board in general is confusing. We just lose to Jack Queen a ton. We lose the Queen 10 a whole lot, and also Ace Queen. And I mean, he could easily, not easily, but he could even still have something like an 8 or King's Plus. So there's plenty of ways to lose here. So, but there's also plenty of value to be made, and there's a lot of unpaired combos that will call a turn bet. Like I said before, all sorts of straight draws and gut shots and double gutters and whatnot. Plus the 10 as well. And if he's got something like jacks, we still get value from that too, and nines, but we do have the 9 blocker. All I'm saying is betting turn is actually a pretty good play. I'm not sure, again, what I would do to a raise, and I'm not sure what I'd do on certain rivers. I guess anything 7 and below is safe to probably bet again. It's kind of tight. I mean, you could always check call to try to get value from something like Ace King or Ace Jack, say if the river bricks, but then also you lose some value from a 10. Although a 10 is probably scared of a hand like Jack Queen anyway, so you're probably not getting that much value. So I think thinking this all the way through, check call flop is best, leading turn with intentions of probably not folding um, is best, and then check calling river probably is also best. Um, I guess you could get away with a check fold on the river, depending on sizing and the speed of his bet and everything, but um, yeah, this hand is just really tricky. So I do kind of like a lead here, but I mean checking is never going to be bad either. But you are going to see a check back a lot, which um, isn't the worst result considering if we only think we can get one street from a 10 here, we can still probably get it on the river anyway. Um, so yeah, let's just kind of see how it goes. Check, check, river king, which is a pretty bad river. Everything gets there, and there are hands that he is checking back, like ace king and ace jack. What else? King 10. All those hands beat us. Plus, any king whatever that he raised and c bet the flop with just got there. So I'm pretty sure we have to check fold. I have no idea. You would just be guessing a lot of times, and there are plenty of hands he can have here still. That bet this flop and check the turn, but still hit the river. So I mean, I can understand wanting to check call, but if this is the type of guy who's gonna, blindly start putting in bets, he would probably continue on the turn. I don't know. I think I would just check fold. But anyways, he checks behind, and it ends up being a really simple hand, and he just has threes, and we win. But there's a lot going on in that hand, and it's actually uh, takes a lot of thinking and a fair amount of guessing and educated guesses, and it's very easy to go broke in a spot like that, and it's very easy to miss value and to be confused and to not know what people are going to do with certain hands. So, I mean, there's just one case for you, one argument for just folding pre-flop and avoiding that in general. Because when you don't have a lot of chips and you flop or turn top pair, it's really, really hard to get away from.